know you are taking notes. So I'm just going to assume you already have your pencil and paper, your journal out. So I'm going to just go down the line. The first thing you don't want to do, let me emphasize that. The first thing you don't want to do after a relationship. My husband already talked about this.
Or you should not do.
That you should not do. Don't do this. You shouldn't do this.
There you go. Don't do this.
Rush into another relationship thinking that this is going to help you get over your pain, get over your hurt, get over your loneliness, get over the pain of being by yourself. These are the reasons, the running from rejection. We rush into another relationship because we don't want to be by ourselves, so we're going to rush into it. And what this does is it skips the healing process.
Absolutely.
And when you skip the healing process, people who bleed on other people.
Absolutely.
Hurt people. Now you're going to take your hurt out on the person that you're now with. They're paying for what your ex did. You're seeing them as your ex. Everything they say, do, whatever, speak. Oh, you remind me of my ex. Not only that, if there's children involved, now you're bringing your children into these different relationships, and this is what you're teaching. You may not literally go to your child and say, hey, baby, this is what I want you to do.
They're going to do it.
But you're teaching them based on what you're doing. Whatever you're doing in your life, your child is looking.
That's right.
They will mimic it. They think it's okay. Well, she's going from one person to the next, so that must be the way I'm supposed to do it too.
That's what a child
and even if they're children, it's embedded into them, in their spirit.
Absolutely.
Mentally, emotionally. Then they're getting attached to a quote-unquote daddy.
Or a person.
Or another man. Or another person that's come into their life. And you're affecting them too. Everything you do will affect the child. Don't depend on someone to love you. And it goes back to rushing into a relationship because you want to feel that love and companionship. I'm talking from experience. Don't expect and depend on someone to love you when you can love yourself or when you don't love yourself. That comes first. Loving you first. Not loving you when someone else loves you. The only person that you should depend on for love is your father. And he will never forsake you in that area.
Absolutely.
But when you know that, you'll walk that. You'll live that. You'll talk that. You won't settle for anything less than that. Don't be led by your flesh because you feel a certain way. Because your emotions is saying this. People are saying this and that. You're being led by your flesh because being led by the spirit is hard sometimes. It's uncomfortable, especially when you're not used to it. So don't be led by your flesh. Check your flesh. Check it.
Check.
If it doesn't line up with the Spirit of God, run. Leave it alone.
Leave it alone.
Don't put yourself in compromising positions. If it's late, if you're with somebody, you're putting yourself in compromising position. Are you talking to them on the phone? Are you trying to pursue somebody? Are you flirting?
I gotta say something about that.
Go ahead, Rick.
I remember in my process, I was didn't even know it wasn't a process. I was still operating in my don'ts. So I had got hooked up with this girl, right? And pretty girl, but I only did it. Listen, I only did it because others was pressuring me to do it because they felt like that I was missing something, they know exactly what was best for me. So I went out with this person. The first time, person was late. Met this person at a certain place. They were late. I sat there for about 30 minutes, 40 minutes, they late. So I would meet this person and I never I've never picked this person up in my vehicle, or they never picked me up in their vehicle. We just always met. So then I was upset because the person was late. And I am, you talking about punctual when it comes to movies? Hey, I like to be there on time before the movie start, 15, 20 minutes, because they give you opportunity to get your popcorn, candy, soda, and all that. You can get down, you can get in your seat and everything, relax. You still got 5, 10 minutes. You can still eat and everything. So this person was late. Boy, I was teed, man. I was so teed. But I played it off. So the next time, we went to the movies again. And she was late again. The movie had already started. And I'm like, God, dog it. And knowing good and well, I'm not that type of person. So what I was doing, I was compromising.
Accepting what they were.
I was accepting what they were doing, but I was operating in the don'ts because they were really showing me what they were going to be.
Good.
They were showing me what they were going to be. At that time, I wasn't paying attention to that because I was still operating in my don'ts because I never went through my healing process. Had I went through my healing process and God would have healed me from all of this stuff right here and all of that, I would have recognized that from the matter of fact, I probably wouldn't even been on a date with her.
You wouldn't have.
I wouldn't have been on a date with her because God would have been like, no. Because I went through my healing process, all the clutter, all the non-forgiveness, all the stuff, guilt and all of that stuff would have been washed away. I would have been cleansed. I would have been able to discern quickly. I would have been able to see the warning signs quickly. And not only that, my ears would have been clearly hearing God's voice. And I compromised just to be with this person. Because my so-called, I ain't gonna call them friends, but other voices were saying you need to try it because this could be God. I was believing them versus me knowing God's voice for myself because God never introduced himself to me yet. This is way before God introduced his voice to me and said, every woman that you've chosen in your life, you've chosen them, and I have not chosen them. You did it. God hadn't even presented himself to me. He didn't even initiate his process of what he chose yet. So I was still operating in the don'ts. But I was listening to what other people say. So be careful. Don't compromise do not compromise what you know that God is speaking to you about. Don't you compromise. And I know that you're not going to do it if you already have gone through your healing process, because now you can hear God's voice clearly now. He has got rid of all of this stuff that you was really leaning on, the things that caused you to feel bad and guilty and depressed. All of this stuff you've been delivered from. You've been cleansed from that. So now your ears are very attentive and you can hear you should be able to be hearing God's voice now based on the dues that you have been given to do. You should be hearing God's voice, but operating in the don'ts, it's going to cause you to compromise. It's going to cause you to compromise. So that second time, I was done. My whole spirit changed. My whole mindset changed. I was like,
I don't like this.
I don't like this. And now I'm looking at this person differently. I don't see that cuteness no more. I see like, okay, you don't have respect for me. Because if you respect me, you'll be on time. Because I'm on time. I don't want you to follow me, but give me the same respect. If I'm on time, then you need to be on time. So that means you're not respecting me. So what else gonna come behind that?
Unorganized.
What else gonna follow that? You know what I mean? Like what else is gonna follow that?
All over the place.
A lot of stuff is gonna follow.
Not settled. Yep.
That's not that. In other words, hold on. That's something that you're holding on to. Are you heard about something that you ain't sharing with me about? Come to find out, she was. She wasn't delivered.
She wasn't healed.
She wasn't healed because someone hurt her very badly.
Two broke people together.
Two broke people together. Somebody hurt her very badly. And she was in the process of going to the next thing in her life. And someone hurt her very badly. And she seemed like she's never been the same. And I didn't even know her before that. But it seems for her to do me like that, that means that she definitely has never been the same. All right?
And that actually goes with the next one. Don't settle and lower your expectations
Absolutely.
for someone else. You know what? I used to do that often. I knew that my
Did you know you was doing it?
No, not at the time. I knew that my expectations were at a certain level when it comes to spirit of excellence, when it came to, finances, when it came to, education, just certain things. And I would literally belittle who I was. Just to make them seem like they're okay. You know how you
Bobby Brown and
you know how you feel like I don't want to seem like I'm too smart, or I'm gonna dumb myself down so they can look better.
Oof.
I'm gonna settle for less than what I would usually expect to make them look good, so I can make sure. Don't do that. God will match who you are with the person He knows will complement you perfectly. I didn't say they will be perfect. They will complement you perfectly. Don't make the mistake of putting a puzzle piece in the hole where it doesn't belong. And I don't even want to say hole, but in the puzzle piece place where it does not belong. Don't settle. Don't try to make it fit. It will not fit. Don't make it. God has the perfect fit for your puzzle. Okay? Don't be pressured by others. And Vito touched on this. Others will tell you, you know what, you too old. You know what, you need to have somebody. You know what, I saw somebody, I think y'all to be a great fit. They try to be a matchmaker. If you listen to too many people, you're going to be confused. You're not going to know what's God, what is God, who God trying to use, who the devil trying to use. Don't do it. You need a clear mind. Again, if you're talking and communing with God, He has already told you what to do. The only voices you should be hearing are confirmation voices. God is not going to skip you unless there's no relationship with you. He's not going to skip you to tell somebody else to tell you what God can tell you directly.
Absolutely.
And that's where we fall short. Listening to other people first before listening to God first. Because when we do that, we put ourselves in a situation where we don't know what God is saying. But when we listen to God first and we hear what He's saying, and someone brings you some foolishness, you can quickly say, that's not God. That's not what God told me. And you will have the confidence to know what they're saying is not of God. But when you don't have that confidence, you will settle, again, for what someone else is saying God said. Don't let people pressure you. Peer pressure is real, and it's not just for children. Adults are always peer pressured into doing something they feel should be going on in your life right now, as if they're God and they know God's will for your life.
Right.
Okay? Another one, write this down. Don't rush the process.
Yes.
Don't be impatient. You don't know what the process entails. You don't know how long it's going to be. You don't know the lessons along the way. If you skip it, you're not going to get something you need.
Right.
It's like when you're walking. A lot of people want to skip all the way to walking. You got to crawl first. I've never seen an infant go from. Now there may be some people who will go from, what you call that thing with like Divine. She never touched her knees on the floor.
The walker.
But she used her hand and her feet to get across.
She did.
She just didn't come out and just start walking on her 2 feet. There's lessons along the line that you must take to learn. Don't try to skip it. Don't rush it. When you rush it, you rush your healing, which doesn't take place. You rush who you are, which doesn't take place. You try to rush your relationship to get what you want. You don't know. You don't know what's at the end of your process. Be grateful for every step, every journey, every lesson, every mistake, every accomplishment along the process. Don't rush it. Don't think about where you want to be. I can't wait till I get there. I can't wait till I get there. Stop saying you can't wait. Yes, you can. Because if you skip it, it could be detrimental to your life.
Yep.
Because you're trying to rush something. It's like rushing to an appointment or rushing, on your job because you're late. You're trying to rush to traffic. And if you notice about traffic, no matter how much you want to get to your job on time, I don't care how much you're trying to get to that next destination. Guess what's going to happen? You stuck in traffic.
Absolutely.
So the only thing that's rushing is your blood pressure, your anxiety. You got a headache. You mad. Attitude. That's the only thing that's rushing. Stop rushing what you can't control. You can't control time. Go with the flow, because God has something for you in that process, on that journey. Somebody on the side that he needs you to stop and talk to. Somebody that done broke down over there and needs some encouraging words. When you rush that, you rushing all the things that even God wants you to encounter. The people that God has placed in your life as an assignment, you're going to rush right past them. You're not going to see them. They're dependent on you. Don't rush it. The process isn't about you, unfortunately. I know you want it to be, but it's not. It's not about you. It's not about you.
It's about God.
It's about bringing glory to God's name.
That's all it is.
The people he want to touch, he wants to use you to touch them. The people that he needs you to talk to is on your process to where God has for you. Your process has a lot of people involved. Although you think it's about you, on your journey, you're going to come past a lot of people. Jesus had a purpose to get to the cross. God had a purpose for him to get to the cross to save the world. But on his process, on his journey to the cross, you know how many people he came in contact with? He healed, he taught, he listened, he counseled, he was persecuted, he condemned, he judged, he rebuked. Jesus did a lot of stuff before he went to that cross. He had disciples, he was betrayed. Think about it. What would have happened if he would have rushed to the cross? Just skip everything.
Nobody would have got healed.
No one.
The Pharisees and scribes wouldn't have got rebuked and corrected.
Nope, they would have thought what they was doing was right.
Matter of fact, he wouldn't have had no disciples because he wouldn't have had time to stop and teach them.
Nope. There's a purpose.
Yeah, Lazarus wouldn't have been raised from the dead.
Nope. For
God's glory to be manifested, because he said this death was not unto death, but it was for the glory of God. So that means God's glory wouldn't have been shown a lot.
So that's how important it is not to rush the process, because then you are neglecting who's on your journey.
Right.
Who's going to be a part of that process. Right.